Power, perfume, and poetry. That is how the court of Solomon was described by travelers who stepped through cedar doors and found a world where wisdom and desire lived side by side. How did a king known for judgment become equally famous for magnetism? What did he understand about attraction and emotional connection that still feels modern today? I am David, your guide, and tonight we lift the veil on a legend, not with gossip, but with patterns you can use. Because the stories of Solomon are not only about palaces and gold, they are field notes on intimacy, written in the language of gardens, spices, and carefully chosen words. Start with presence. Solomon learned that people fall in love with attention more than appearance. In his court, a visitor did not meet a distracted monarch. He was fully there. He listened until the other person finished speaking. He named what he noticed. He remembered details and returned to them later. And here is the intriguing part most people miss. Focus feels like affection, even before a hand is held. Many call this charm. In practice, it is disciplined attention. Now add the setting. The palace did not leave attraction to chance. Oil lamps softened faces, myrrh and frankincense drifted through carved screens, music marked the pace of the evening. Dishes arrived in a rhythm that made time feel slower, but what unfolded next was truly unexpected. The environment did not seduce on its own. It framed the person in front of you so that their best qualities came forward. Attraction began before a word, yet it served conversation, not silence. Solomon also understood the slow burn. Some of the most famous lines linked to his court describe longing, not conquest. They were written for the ear, repeating images of gardens, pomegranates, and running water. Why? Because repetition builds anticipation. The mind returns to what it cannot resolve. Modern psychology agrees. Delay can deepen desire when it is paired with consistent warmth. He made patience feel like privilege. Then came language. Praise in Solomon's circle was specific, not generic. He did not say you are beautiful. He described the glow of skin after a walk in the garden, the steadiness in a gaze when hard news arrived, the cadence of a voice that could calm a room. Praise that lands is not flattery. It is observation turned into music. Yet the real secret to this mystery lies elsewhere. He used praise to reveal values. You praise what you want to grow. Now picture the famous visit of a queen who came to test him with riddles. She entered as an equal, and Solomon treated her curiosity as a gift, not a threat. The lesson is simple. Attraction flourishes where respect removes the need to perform. When two strong people meet, the most sensual move is often a question asked without hurry, a sudden pattern interrupt. Solomon did not win hearts through excess. He set boundaries. The court ran on ordered time. Private meetings had rules. Letters carried expectations of discretion. Desire needs room, but it also needs edges. Without them, interest becomes noise. With them, it becomes music. Consider touch. In the stories linked to his court, touch arrives late. Eyes go first, then voice, then scent, then finally the hand. Many find this surprising. In truth, it is strategic. Each sense prepares the next. When the order is patient, the smallest gesture feels like a revelation. A shoulder brushed in passing, a hand guided through a doorway. The memory lasts because the moment was earned. There is another layer. Solomon understood polarity. He could be still while another spoke passionately, then warm while another guarded their words. He moved between strength and softness without losing himself. That is not performance, it is range. And range is magnetic because it makes people feel seen across more than one mood. Before we step deeper, take this with you. Attraction in Solomon's world was built, not found. Presence first, setting second, language that reveals values, patience that turns time into desire, boundaries that make intimacy safe, polarity that keeps two strong identities alive in one conversation. These are not tricks, they are habits. So what happened when the question stopped and the doors closed? What did the king do that transformed admiration into attachment? And how did his approach handle jealousy, absence, and the weight of public life? The answers are not what people expect. They reveal a map for modern relationships that is both tender and unshakable. Behind closed doors, Solomon began with something deceptively simple. He slowed the pace. A conversation that had rushed in public found a softer rhythm in private. He would pour water, set a small dish of dates between them, and ask a single question that invited a long answer. People fall toward the person who gives them space to land. Admiration turns into attachment when someone feels unhurried and safe in your presence. He also practiced what the poets later called naming the moment. Rather than skipping ahead, he paused to mark what was already happening. Your voice calmed when you spoke about your family. Your eyes brightened when you described the garden. By naming these shifts, he helped the other person feel seen in real time. It is a quiet form of intimacy that asks for almost nothing and gives almost everything. Then came a ritual of memory. Solomon kept small tokens that carried a story. A sprig of spice from a shared walk, a line copied from a song. Later, he would return the token with a brief note that recalled the feeling of that scene. Modern language would call this imprinting. It turns passing pleasure into a durable bond because the moment is carried forward and deepened rather than allowed to fade. What about jealousy? His court was large, eyes watched, rumors traveled. The pattern that emerges is not conquest, but clarity. He set visible rules for time and attention, and he honored them. When he could not be present, he sent a message before a disappointment set in. When envy surfaced, he did not debate it away. He translated it into a request. Tell me what would help you feel secure, and I will do that if it keeps us honest and kind. Jealousy did not vanish. It was given a task: protect the promise rather than punish the person. Absence posed a different test. Travel and duty broke the calendar. Solomon treated distance not as a pause, but as a different stage of the same conversation. Messages carried scent and story, not only updates. He suggested tasks that could be shared across the gap. Choose a line of poetry for me, and I will answer with the scene it describes. When the eyes could not meet, the mind still touched. That is how absence becomes devotion rather than decay. Public life added weight. To carry a bond through scrutiny, he borrowed the gardener's rule. Grow roots before you show blooms. Private rituals came first. Public appearances arrived later, and only when both felt steady. When admiration from others threatened to tip the balance, he redirected the light. Praise the person beside you in front of the room. The message is simple. We are a team, not a display. There was also the question of desire. In the stories linked to him, desire is guided rather than unleashed. He shaped the sequence of senses so that connection rose gradually. First listening until the other voice softened, then gaze, held just long enough to feel chosen, then shared scent from oils on the wrists or a freshly cut branch, only then touch. When rhythm is respected, the smallest contact sparks like flint to dry straw. Solomon also cultivated what many overlook: emotional range. He could speak of policy and then quietly ask about fear. He could admire confidence and also bless fatigue. People attach to those who can hold more than one version of them. Range is not performance. It is hospitality for the heart. There were mistakes, promises broken by urgency, words that landed too sharply. When repair was needed, he acted quickly and in order. Name the harm. Offer a clear plan, deliver a gesture that costs you something. Then wait for trust to regrow, instead of forcing a quick return to normal. In that patience, the bond often came back stronger than before. And here is the thread that ties it all together. Solomon's sensual life was not a story of excess. It was a study in stewardship, attention as a gift, setting as a frame, language as a bridge, boundaries as music, range as welcome, repair as proof. If you want a place to begin, start small. At your next meal, slow the first 5 minutes. Ask one generous question and let the answer travel. Name one thing you notice and carry that detail forward into a message later. Set one gentle boundary that protects time rather than restricts feeling. Desire does not require spectacle. It requires care repeated until care becomes style. Wisdom and sensuality were not rivals in Solomon's world. They were partners. And that partnership is the lasting lesson. Build connection with intention, and your presence becomes the most attractive thing in the room.